Senator Rounds, I understand, is with us virtually.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir. Secretary Blinken, thank you for your willingness to appear before the committee and to answer questions on the Afghanistan withdrawal. I understand you've been there for almost 3 hours now. I appreciate your persistence in this. Mr. Secretary, my staff has been working very closely with yours on the issue of Afghan special immigration applications or SIVs, some of which have been initiated for over 3 years. As you are aware, I sent a letter to you last week that outlines my concerns, and I spoke to Deputy Secretary McEwen 3 weeks ago. Due to the preparation for the hearing, I received updates on 3 of the 5 SIV cases my staff has been working for months on. I sincerely appreciate the efforts of your staff to get me this information, which I provided last night to the South Dakota veterans who requested my help. And for that, I want to thank you. I would, however, like you to be aware of my concern pertaining to a key reason that has hamstrung my efforts to assist SIV applicants. This is the department's position, stated to my staff on multiple occasions, that it is precluded by law from providing updates or noting any potential defects in applications. Mr. Secretary, if true, this would prevent members of Congress from executing oversight and constituent service responsibilities, specifically when they're advocating in support of an applicant. It would also, incidentally, violate the department's own Foreign Affairs manual. Will you commit to me today that you will review the department's procedures and fix this unacceptable procedure?
Senator, I'm happy to review that. And let me say, first, thank you for the work that you and your team and staff have done to help folks in need and to make sure that we had the information that we needed to try to be helpful and to get people out. I'm really grateful for that and grateful for the work that we've been able to do together. We'll certainly review all of these procedures. There are requirements either built into the law, privacy concerns, et cetera, that may have to be addressed, but we should look at everything.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I think this is important enough to where we will follow up, and hopefully within a time certain, we'll be able to come up with what changes need to be made either statutorily or within the rules process to clarify this, because this shouldn't be that hard to be able to stay in contact and to make those communications back and forth between your department and members of the United States Senate. Our adversaries, Mr. Secretary, are celebrating the departure of U.S. troops, and they most certainly are celebrating the creation of a power vacuum. Most certainly, they are also prepared to take this opportunity and use it to their advantage. China has announced last week that it will send $31 million worth of aid to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. There have also been reports that they are looking at Bagram Air Base for their own use. The Russian embassy in Afghanistan has remained open, and the ambassador met with Taliban leadership after the takeover. Pakistan is considering the Taliban government as a partner to counter India, and the Iranian president openly called this an American military defeat and is considering working with the Taliban. Did the administration consider all of these foreign policy implications before such an abrupt withdrawal? And if they did, does the department have a strategy to counter our adversaries' malign influence in the region?
We certainly did. We factored everything into the decisions we made, including the impact that it might have on the neighboring countries, regional countries, and others with various interests in Afghanistan. A number of the countries that you cited have a whole series of different interests in Afghanistan, to include making sure that it is not a place for terrorism directed against them, to ensure that it is not a source of drugs flowing out into their countries, to make sure that it is not a source of potential refugees flowing out into their countries as well. So all of those things are in play, and countries are looking to take steps that they need to take to protect some of their basic interests. At the same time, we've established across more than 100 countries and in the UN through a Security Council resolution basic expectations of the Taliban-led government. And if those expectations are not met, and other countries are aiding and abetting so that the Taliban is able to not fulfill those expectations, there'll be consequences for that too.
Well, Mr. Secretary, if I could, what I'm really curious about is, do you have a strategy that you've established? Did you have enough time before this withdrawal to actually establish a strategy knowing that there would be a void in Afghanistan?
The work that we've done to bring together across dozens of countries, very active contact groups, looking as we work together across these countries with NATO, the EU, as well as the UN. We have a collective strategy on the way forward, and we're working that as we speak.
Does our country, do we have a strategy? I mean, if this has been laid out and based upon the need to move out as quickly as we did you have time to actually establish a strategy to take care of what will be this power void? And I understand that you've been there now for almost 3 hours. But simply to say that you're working on it with our other countries looks to me like we need our own strategy here, and it doesn't sound like you're in a position to share with us that strategy actually exists today.
I'm happy, Senator, to follow up with you and to share both our thinking and more of our work on that. But we have organized several dozen countries that are collectively working on and implementing a strategy. Both
my time is getting very short.
Go ahead.
What I would hope is that if you would, whether it be in a classified setting or publicly, if you could share with us in the next week to 10 days what that strategy is. And if it needs to be in a classified setting, I'd ask the chairman to provide us with that opportunity. But most certainly, I think it's important that we have a strategy to combat what will be a void in Afghanistan, which is a void now, and most certainly is something that we should be in a better position, I believe, than what it sounds like you're able to articulate today. Mr. Chairman, I would suspect that my time is up at this point.